And welcome to the European Parliament in Brussels for Talking Europe on France 24. At the last Eurozone meeting on Monday, Greece's creditors welcomed progress in the crunch talks over the country's future in the single currency. But they failed once again to release the €7.2 billion bailout money that the country desperately needs to meet its liabilities. So who's to blame for the current standoff? Is a deal possible? How much time is there left before Grexit becomes the only possible outcome? Stelios Kouloglou, welcome to Talking Europe. You're a Greek MEP, you're an independent, but you sit here with Syriza, that's the anti-austerity party of Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras. Also with us, Inge Gressler, you're from Germany. You belong to the centre-right European People's Party. At home in Germany, you belong to Angela Merkel's CDU. And I add that you are the chair of the Committee on Budgetary Control. Now, Germany is often described as a hardliner in the current drama. Germany is certainly playing a hard ball with Greeks because you want assurances that Greece is ready to deliver on reforms. What about last Monday's meeting? We heard the word progress. Does it mean that the meeting was a turning point?
I do not have this impression. It's one of the habitual European euphemisms we know since in the Greek drama. What we see is that there's a new chief negotiator and the mood is slightly improving because finally we have a negotiator who does not contradict himself 3 times a week. This is a clear improvement, but there you see how small the steps are we have now. And for instance, if you look at the declaration of this event, you see that they recall what they asked Greece to do in February. Therefore, we lost now 3 months, and I think the Greek government is really working for a Grexit, and they want to go out, but they don't want to carry responsibility for that. And this is the sad thing, because whatever they need to do to be kept in the Eurozone, they don't deliver. This is the problem.
Do you agree that the Greek government is sleepwalking towards Grexit?
No, I'm so surprised that there is a conspiracy theory here. No, the Greek government has said, and repeatedly, that they want to stay within the Eurozone. They have made enormous concessions those 3 months after the elections to achieve a mutual understanding and agreement profitable for both sides. They want to make the new Greek government to completely abandon every promise it was given. I'm asking my colleague, she's not giving me an answer. Elections are needed anymore? I mean, if a country cannot change a little bit, totally respecting the framework, a little bit the policy that its country is following, so why to vote?
Is Germany acting as a caretaker government in Greece?
The problem
Let's abolish the elections.
No, the problem of your position is you expect Germany and the other partners of the Eurozone and the taxpayers of Slovakia and Lithuania, taxpayers who are much poorer than the Greeks are, you expect them to pay for promises the Syriza did during the campaign. This is not fair and this is completely inappropriate. Please take note, we are not willing to pay for your promises. Therefore, come down to earth, please. Let's seriously work together. You need to stick to the commitments the Greek government did in 2010. This was the basis for all the credits we gave.
But, lady, this is a loan. It's a loan, it's a loan, it's a loan. It's not the free money. We are paying back. We are paying back the interest. We are paying everything back. Even without, since last summer, there was no €1 given. Because, you know, they are keeping the euro to put pressure on the government. Even the previous government did not dare to implement the measures you are asking for the new government to implement. So what to do?
Don't mix up things. We are now in front of the last tranche of the second package, and we will be in front of a third package if it continues like that. This government did everything to worsen the situation in Greece. The last 3 months, the situation turned really down in Greece, and this is what I'm worried, because we see that Greece does not, the government does not even stick to one single engagement, even the engagements they made themselves.
You said in your first answer that you don't agree that a lot of time has been wasted. You said that the Greek government has made what you call very big concessions. Concretely, what has Mr. Tsipras done so far to respond to the German and the French fears?
A lot of things. For instance, we wanted to speak about the debt, the problem of the debt, because the debt is not sustainable. Everybody accepts that. Even in the private discussions, even Mr. Schäuble accepts. But
Mr. Dijsselbloem, the head of the Eurogroup, said that a restructuring of the debt is no longer taboo, but I'm sure we'll get to talk about it.
Yes, but I mean, this was one of the main, and this is the core of the problem. So we said, okay, we're not discussing about at that moment. Then they said new taxes, increase the VAT. We said, okay, we'll increase the new taxes. Then they said, you have promised to increase the minimum salary for 500 euros, almost to 700 euros, which is, elementary. I mean, it's much less than what is needed. And it was a promise. We said, okay, we froze that promise. We have made unbelievable concessions, asking for a little change in the policy that ended in a catastrophe.
Reality is when you promise things and then you go back to your national parliament and you decide. What you decided is 3,900 more officials for a Greek state who is boosted by the officials and by the public sector. One of the main problems not addressed at all, who will really cover up the private sector and not leave space to the private sector. This is what you did. You augmented the minimum salary, which is also augmented the deficit of the Greek state. A country which is completely dependent on money from outside and does it against all people who give you money, this is not very nice to do so. And other things are not done. This is what we see is the Greek government wants to go out of the euro. That's what I see, because no measures are taken to prevent that.
But increasing the minimum salary does not affect at all the finance of the state. This is for the private sector. So what are we talking about? And we did not decrease. We did not decrease at all. But you said 3,000 new employees in the state, but there are no nurses. There are no nurses in the hospitals. There are no teachers in the school. What you want us to do? To become the a kind of country of Africa?
But now you have a new public broadcaster.
Yes, but the public broadcaster is not financed by the state. It's financed by the contribution, the monthly contribution of the viewers. They are paying 3 euros per month. In Germany, I think it's 15 or something. But in Greece, it's 3 euros. And from these 3 euros from everybody, the channel. You were in favor of closing completely in one night the whole public television.
But the hope I had with Syriza is that finally the Greek list of people having their bank accounts in Switzerland will now be worked on, but nothing happened. What we see is this government is really a government of beginners who is not able to really deliver its promises even where they could deliver.
Mrs. Sigi, you want us to make in 2 months what the previous government, which were your allies, they did not for 40 years. What are you talking about? And this is a government...
5 months.
Not 5 months.
March,
April, February, March, April, we are on
meanwhile, the clock is ticking, and last Monday, Greece's finance minister made a desperate appeal for the last slice of the country's EU and IMF bailout, saying that Greece's cash problem is now, quote, terribly urgent. Let's watch our report.
Yanis Varoufakis was a man on a mission on Monday. With Greece only just managing to pull together the cash to make its latest IMF loan repayment, he was in Brussels to tell his Eurozone counterparts that Athens now faces an imminent cash crisis.
The liquidity issue is a terribly urgent issue. This is common knowledge. Let's not beat about the bush and pretend otherwise. From the perspective of the time frame that we're facing, we're talking about the next couple of weeks.
And the clock in Athens is most definitely ticking. Greece needs to find 1.5 billion euros to repay another instalment to the IMF in June, and then another 3 billion to the European Central Bank in July and August. But Eurozone finance ministers were in no hurry to transfer any of the final 7.2 billion euros of Greece's bailout. While they welcomed the progress made by Athens on its promised rigorous economic reforms at home, Europe says a lot more work and more detailed proposals are still needed.
There are still significant gaps on certain issues before an agreement can be reached. For example, reforms of pensions or the labour market. The Greek authorities have been clear on the aspects of the programme they do not accept. But they still have to present alternative proposals, which can achieve the same objectives.
Germany, the EU's guardian of austerity, suggested Greece might need to hold a referendum to push through the painful reforms the bloc is insisting on. But Athens says it has no intention to hold such a vote.
Now, Inge Gressler, Greece was forced last week to tap into an emergency account to make a debt repayment to the IMF. Athens is believed to have borrowed 650 million euro from its IMF holding account. Now, what many experts say, this shows that the country has already run out of money. And we know that Greece, as we heard, will have to pay back more money to the IMF, possibly 10 billion euros over the summer to its creditors. What was going to happen?
Greece is on the way out of the Eurozone. This government will lead Greece out of the Eurozone. If they don't do anything, you know, that's what I'm worried, that they need to comply to the obligations. The Eurozone cannot give money like that to a country. This is simply forbidden, and it's not possible that other taxpayers pay for a member state.
And are Greece's partners ready to make some concessions at least? Because from the Greek perspective, you are very intransigent, particularly Germany, particularly Finland.
You know, this is not true that Germany is at the head of the hardliners, as you always say. You know, there are plenty of other countries which are poorer and which did a lot of efforts to come out of the crisis themselves. Portugal did a lot, Spain did a lot to reform its country. The Greek government believes that no reforms are the right way to come out of the crisis. Just give us more money to do more of the same in the past, which led us to the situation in Greece now. This is what we cannot support, and we will not support.
We've got a couple of weeks left, apparently, until your country completely runs out of money. Given the current mood, I can't see any solution to this problem.
Listen, I'm very surprised that Germany and my colleague, Ms. Inge, insist in a policy that provokes a new trauma in Europe. So we have one trauma with Great Britain voting for Mr. Cameron, who is going to organize a referendum for the exit of the Great Britain from the European Union as a whole. And now they insist, they are pressing the government to end up with a referendum or to end up leaving the Eurozone. And this will provoke another trauma.
How does Mr. Tsipras feel about this referendum?
I cannot see how a big power like Germany is behaving in such an irresponsible way.
But
I cannot see. This is out of my control.
Have a referendum.
This is out of my control.
To break the ice. Some in Greece want to have a referendum. You don't want a referendum?
No, nobody wants a referendum.
How do you want?
Nobody wants a referendum. We want, but if we're obliged to change completely, but we have to ask the people if they want to adopt the policy of the previous government. What they want us is to adopt completely the policy the previous government did not dare to vote. And that's why we had elections. They did not dare to vote. And now they want us to do the same. No, it's a new government. We respect all the contracts, the framework, but we look a little bit change. Otherwise, we'll leave Germany to vote and to tell us we're not going to vote anymore. Germany to vote, the German voters to vote and tell us what to do. This is Europe.
You don't want to honor even the slightest promise and the slightest commitments to come out of the crisis. What we need is a reform of the public sector to cut it down, at least not at once. Everybody saw that we will have a slight reduction, but a permanent reduction. Now we see that the contrary is planned and decided by the Greek parliament, by Syriza.
The creditors are also calling for a pension reform.
That's it, yeah.
67 years, everybody.
We have now Eurozone members where the pension is much lower than in Greece. You cannot expect from these people paying a system in Greece which is not sustainable. Your systems are not sustainable. This is the problem.
Nobody pays. It's a loan, it's a loan,
you
it's
need
a loan.
To cut down. You need to cut down your public cartels.
As a conclusion, please, because now comes the moment of truth.
You need really to strengthen the private sector, but nothing happens because this Syriza government is a communist government, and how can you expect from communists
what are you talking about? This is not a communist government. Come on. We're not in the Cold War. For God's sake, a communist government? We have a communist party in Greece, which is against the government.
You don't do any reforms. You don't do something, even what could be considered as really improving the situation.
But communist government? Therefore, the whole Berlin has fallen, you know. And we cannot... I mean, the Cold War ended.
Mr. Kologlou, now comes the moment of truth. A majority of Greeks say they want to stay in the Eurozone. They want to keep the euro. Given the pressure on Greece from all sides, is Mr. Tsipras going to compromise, or will he risk
already
Grexit?
Compromised. I mean, he has changed, I explained you, a whole of changes, but they want us to completely change, to adopt the policies that ended up in a catastrophe. We have
Is a deal possible before it's too late?
300,000 houses have no electricity at this moment. There is no thermometers in the hospitals, you know? And so we want to change that. We want to give thermometers in the hospital, as every hospital in every world has.
And are you still confident that a deal is possible before it's too late?
I hope so, and we're looking forward for that. We're looking forward, and we want for the euro, the Europe
nothing, to
work
helpful.
together. We're doing everything we can, but we don't want to adopt measures. For instance, the massive layoffs is a measure which is not forbidden in Germany.
We'll have to leave it there.
In Greece?
As we're running out of time, Stelios Kologlou, thank you very much for talking to us. I remind our viewers that you're a Greek MEP from Syriza, that's the party of Alexis Tsipras, and Inga Gressler, you're a German MEP from the CDU, Angela Merkel's party. You're from Germany. Now, thank you for watching the first part of Talking Europe. Please stay with me. I'll return just after the news break. In about 10 minutes, I'll bring you an interview with Siad Kamal. He's the leader of the British Conservatives here in the European Parliament. We're going to talk about Cameron's plan for Europe.